Record the podcast. We're going to record the podcast here at the Ultra Crude Podcast. That's the official sound of the start of our show. Ultra Crude Podcast. I'm your host, Jon. And Becca Jones, better known as BMFJ.
Yay, yay. Is that good?
No, that's not.
Is that not good?
No, I don't know. That's fantastic. Let's go over here,
Oh,
baby.
yeah. Look, I'm getting a little closer to old Jan over here. Okay.
Now we just screwed up all of your microphone inputs. Good gracious! All right, we're back. It's another week of the Ultra Crude Podcast. What a tumultuous week it has been.
Oh, good Lord. You ain't kidding.
Yeah, it was a real 40 days and 40 nights situation here in the mid-state.
Oh, yeah. I was ready to build an ark. I mean, Ralph made jokes before he came out and ran, and I was like, this is your fucking fault. Like 100%. Or your anything fault? Anyways, yeah. This is your fault. 100%.
Yeah, it rained yesterday, and now it's cold. The sun is shining, and this is the piece de la resistance. That even though the sun is shining today, it's cold, very cold. I wore 3 layers today.
It is very cold. I mean, this afternoon it's a little bit warmer out there in the world, but
it's because we haven't seen the sun.
Oh, well, when we walked out of lunch, I was like, "Oh, what is this? What is this thing?"
Yeah, it was crazy. We did have a lunch burger, possibly one of the best burgers in Nashville. It's renowned, Brown's Diner. You had the chili cheeseburger. Mm-hmm. I have been against chili cheeseburgers. I'm very particular about my cheeseburgers. I think when you put chili on a cheeseburger, you're gambling there, because the chili is not a solid. It's not like a chili dog has it's got the bun. The bun in the dog is a base. It's forming a canoe, a base, a container for the chili to rest in. No such thing exists on a cheeseburger. It's got nothing. It's on an island out there. Even a concave surface or convex, whatever one is not bowl-shaped, like an upside-down bowl, that's what happened. I'm not in geometry, but you all know what I'm talking about, and you especially know what I'm talking about. And it's a disaster waiting to happen. This particular chili cheeseburger is genius. Possibly the greatest thing that's ever happened in chili cheeseburgers. They put an onion ring on that burger, and that gives the chili a place to call home.
Absolutely.
Game changer. I rated it about a 7.8 on the John's cheeseburger scale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty high rating.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. It was really good. It was delicious.
Podcasting 101 is talking into the thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, I try to tell you, and then you don't want to talk into it.
I'll do a better job of leaning in.
Scoot forward. Adjust your mic. Do something.
I'll do it.
Will you?
Continue.
It has been a week, and I don't even know if we can all the way recap it. Here's the deal. We put on Big Owls this week. If you don't know, John Cox, Becca Jones, hosts of Mid-State. We host a couple other ultra marathons out on the farm. One of them is Tennessee Mile in December. We host a 200 and a 100-mile event that is at the same place, but at a different 2-mile loop. We're going to talk all about it here in a few minutes. It was nice when the race started.
Oh, delightful.
And then the storm started. And we don't want to give it away. But it's rained here, and it's stormed here in Nashville for like a week. And I was looking at the forecast, and I'm thinking, I'm not a meteorologist, but there's no way that it's going to storm for 4 days in a row. That just ain't going to happen.
Turns out.
I was wrong. It stormed for 4 days in a row. There has been...
You've never been wrong before. How did that
Don't sass me, Jones.
No,
Don't sass me. I'm wrong about the weather all the time. I'm horrible at making weather assessments. I am horrible at it. And I should know that I shouldn't be making weather assessments, but there I was making a weather assessment, and I knew I should have been wrong. And I was.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Way wrong about it. Anyway, it was pretty awful. Let's get into some listener questions. We've got some listener questions from last week, unless you want to just brush up on what you got going on
Oh
this
no,
week.
no, we can.
You want
We'll
to dive in?
Yeah, we'll dive into that, and then we'll go to the listener or to what's coming up in snake tail, snake rattle, dragonfly.
The dragonfly. Yeah, we'll talk about the week upcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my headphones have not. They're just gone now. I can't hear anything. Amy's is going to ask us still about Big Al, so we're going to talk about it in depth. We're going to do a couple other ones first. Um, Jeff Stafford, what's up, Jeff? Asks, why not just drink salt water? That's a long pause for Becca Jones. Would you like to?
Like just
Yeah, I
saltwater?
think the onus of the question is like when you're running an ultra marathon and you're taking in water and electrolytes, like why not just drink? Like Element has electrolyte beverage in a can now. Like can you just drink an electrolyte solution? Is that going to get the job done? As opposed to drinking that and water, or just a cup out of the ocean.
I would not do that. I know that that does not have all the complexities and the things that our body needs. Actually, ocean water dehydrates you.
Yes,
So
because of the high salinity in it. Yeah.
yeah. That'll fuck you up. That's
So
not
if
what you
your
want to do.
goal was to take in electrolytes to be hydrated, wouldn't that just do the thing?
That would not. No.
So are we missing something? Is there a trade off here between the balance between ocean water and element water?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more than just salt in the salt water and the electrolytes. There's a few of the little components go in there. So yeah, you should do something that is more rich than just salt. And salt's great. Table salt is fine if like you need to roll potatoes or something in it, but it should not be your go-to.
Right. So the again, I think the question is like, hey, what do I need to be drinking to be fully hydrated and balanced?
Well, I mean, just there's different qualities of salt. Like sea salt's different, Himalayan salt's different, table salt's different. So you can't just drink salt water.
Okay. I think in this instance, we're using the term salt water for electrolyte drink. Does that make the
Uh,
question a
uh,
little more balanced for you?
yeah, because you started off with salt water.
I mean, that's what it is. That's what you're drinking. If you're drinking an electrolyte beverage, you're drinking salt water. That's the whole point, is to get salt in your system and you mix it with water. That's salt water.
Yeah.
What do you want to call it?
Have you seen the electrolyte drink that says saltwater drink?
It's That's what it is. Like you're drinking
It's
a salt mixture of
electrolytes.
water.
It,
Yeah, it's the fancy label of electrolytes, but in the end of the day, you're just drinking salt water. You're drinking a mixture of electrolytes and water, salt water.
is salt the only thing in that?
Is salt the only thing that's in the ocean? You got fish poop. That's got to have some minerals in it.
Yeah, maybe it's high in protein. I don't know. I hadn't drank it.
I don't understand why you're being difficult with this question.
I just don't know what answer you want from me.
I don't want an answer. I don't think you've gotten to the question portion yet. I'm trying to get you there. Why not just drink an electrolyte mix? Is an electrolyte mix all you need?
No, because it doesn't have a high enough salt concentrate most of the time. And also, if something like Element, that which is good, you still need a salt to have or something because you probably need a higher concentration with less water. Like that balance is very delicate that you have to strike between the amount of salt, electrolytes, and water that you have to drink. And oftentimes, if you're just drinking like Element or something like that, that is still a very high salt content. You're still having to drink so much water in order to be able to consume it. So
Yes, and this I think now we're getting to the root of the question is if there's water in my electrolyte mix, whatever electrolyte mix I've used, right? There's a lot of powders that people use. They put them in water or they buy something off the shelf that's got electrolytes in it. It's got the proper mix. It's got all the vitamins and it's got all the salts and the potassiums and the minerals, the magnesium. that you need. I'm going to mix that with water. Is that all I need? Or do I also need water? Because isn't there water in that mixture?
No, you do also need water.
Okay. Well, why?
Because the body is complex. like, like, but all, and I'm also going to say this, like, most people underconsume the amount of salt, sodium, or electrolytes that they need. They say, oh, well, I've been taking 200 milligrams an hour, where they likely need 500 or 700, and some people need up to 2,000 milligrams an hour.
That's a lot.
It sounds like it, but if you are a heavy sweater or you sweat out a lot or you're not heat acclimated, it's really putting you in a deficit that whole time. And so sometimes you think you're dehydrated and you're not drinking enough water, but you're actually over drinking. I suffered that one year at Cordial. Well, like, I had no spit in my mouth and felt terrible, and I was using Element as my main salt. But I'm a camel and I like to drink, and I'm also I don't get white with salt sweat, but and I'm not necessarily a heavy sweater, but I require a higher salt intake. I just always have, and you can feel my skin. It's like sandpaper when you touch me. It may not be white, but it is gritty as all get out.
Yeah.
So I sweat out a lot. So I do require one of those higher numbers. And I was definitely not consuming that enough because, well, one, I was already behind and I drink more water, and that compounds the issue. So overhydrating and underhydrating are very similar. Like, they look similar and they're
exactly
signs.
the same thing, yeah.
So you may think you're doing one when you're actually doing the other. So you may be making it worse, which I certainly was. But I was like, oh, it's like 1,000 milligrams an hour. And it wasn't until I started taking the salt tabs and then was able to get spit in my mouth for the first time in 8 hours and have the bloating go down that I could actually realize, like, oh, I have screwed this up. Like, I had it backwards, but it was super hot that year and I felt hot. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I think when you made that switch to salt tabs, you switched from a mixture to salt tabs and water.
Yes.
Where you were just drinking water. Like, you were consuming water, taking salt tabs instead of a mixture of electrolyte beverage.
Yeah, I didn't do the mixture anymore because I realized I had drank too much water and I needed to drink less. And that's another reason why they say drink to thirst. Now, someone like me.
But if you're just drinking an electrolyte mixture, you're just going to continue to be thirsty.
Yeah.
Because you've got, and here's my take on it. It's a lot more simple and complex. You need something to quench your thirst.
Yeah.
Which is pure water. You need something to aid in digestion, which water is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need something for all of that salt to, like, soak up and absorb. And I think, our bodies are really sophisticated, but they're not quite that smart. So if you give it salt, sodium, minerals, electrolytes, and then you give it something to work off of, water, H2O, just clean, refreshing, it's going to figure that out a lot quicker when you're over a longer period of time. I like to dumb it down so I can understand. You're looking at me like I'm real dumb.
No, I understand what you're saying.
So
it's a lot more complex than that. Yeah.
I know it's complex, but I'm going to make it real simple. Like, your body needs water. Like, just give it the water.
It does. It needs both. And the problem is it is so individualized and can also change from run to run. And humidity is a huge impactor.
Humidity is huge. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors and different variables for individuals. I would argue that you'd be better off. Hold on now. Hold on.
Are you about to say something dumb?
I'm sure I am. I would say that you're better off if you're going to do consuming liquid, better off just consuming water than consuming an electrolyte mix, because you'll be able to take in more water that you may need.
If you're taking salt tabs, and I am also going to throw this in there, a lot of times people think electrolyte mix and the calorie mix are the same thing.
They're two completely different things.
And they go, well, I've been drinking this.
Now, I would put electrolytes in my calorie mix if I still had water to drink.
Yes. It should be a water and your calorie
Yeah,
electrolytes.
I think your chances of bloating and getting icky tum tums go down if you're also consuming water with whatever else you're consuming.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page on that. And yes, I'm a big believer in having the salt and electrolytes in your calorie mix. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I've been drinking Tailwind." That does not have enough. Let it by itself to power you through that. And you're probably drinking one bottle for 8 miles or
Well,
10 miles or whatever that
and that's the
is.
other point, and this is why I'm a big advocate of salt pills as
Yes,
opposed to
I
the
am
mix,
too.
because you can regulate it timely. You can know exactly how much you're taking when you're taking it. If you're drinking a mix in a bottle, who knows where along that bottle and what time frame you're actually at with that consumption. If you've got 1,000 milligrams in there, when are you taking it in? A lot of times you get in a tendency of, let's aid station to aid station, and then the frequency of that distance changes.
Oh,
So instead of taking that 1,000 milligrams every hour, well, now you took it an hour and 15 minutes. Well, now it's an hour and a half.
now it's an hour and 50.
Now, so it stretches out, and all of a sudden you're way behind on electrolytes or calories because you were just going to drink this bottle, right?
Yeah, and your runner brain would, I'm taking in stuff. I'm doing this from point to
Especially
point.
especially with an out and back. It took me 45 minutes the first go around between these two aid stations. Well, it took you an hour and 15 the second go around. Guess what? You're behind.
Mhm.
So I'm a big advocate of salt pills and just water. I want to eat food, take my salt, and then drink my water.
I think you should adopt the attitude that anything you get at an aid station, we've talked about this before,
It's just
food
a
wise,
bonus.
same with
Bonus calories.
your drink mix, unless you know in that bottle is 400 or 300 or 200, whatever, and you actually diligently drink all of that within an hour. The Colonel's a good example of that. That man will drink, if you give him 3 bottles and it's going to be 2 hours, he'll make sure all that's going to be gone, and
But it
he'll.
also bit him at Cordial last year
True.
because it was that section of short aid station intervals where he was counting on that bottle,
Hmm.
and he just got behind on it. So he got to
Yes.
the open road, and he was in a deficit and dragging. I was like, "I need to take these salt pills." He's like, "That seems like a lot." I was like, "I know it does, but this is what you need." And then 45 minutes later, that dude was rocking and roll.
Yeah, but that is someone who is really good
Yeah,
about that,
yeah,
but definitely got dysregulated
because it
very
can
quick.
happen to anybody if that's the system you're using, and even if you're good at it and you've got based on this system, it's just harder to get right.
I think if it's in a bottle, you should consider it a bonus. Bottle equals bonus.
Bonus bottle.
I mean, unless it's like your couch, but you understand what I'm saying.
No, that's 100%. And then here's the other thing: there's absolutely no way that the aid station drink mix has got the same calories in it that you use on your lawn.
Yeah, it's delusional.
It's diluted, is what it is.
That it is absolutely that.
um,
And again, that is extra bonus.
yeah, just kind of as bonus. If you're thirsty for the tailwind, take it. Nothing
Yeah,
wrong with it.
just
Drink
no.
what they have. Take advantage of the aid stations.
Yeah, it's not going to save your life, and it's not going to be what you need to rely on.
Yeah, but don't count on them. Figure out how much salt you need every hour, and then plan on it. I'm a big 45 minutes right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of where I'm liking it.
Yeah.
Um, you know.
Yeah. It's a very simple question with a lot of different answers and different complexities.
Yeah, and who knows? Read an article, they'll tell you something different.
Yep.
Talk to somebody else, they're going to tell you something different. My experience, our experience, watching it play out as the Ultra crew, people we are. It's a lot easier to get right. The when you separate these categories of water, electrolytes, and calories.
Yeah.
Because then you really know, and you can count. It's easy to count up.
No, I agree with that 100%. It is much easier that way. It brings a simplicity to something that is very complex, and it will also change when you go to different parts of the country or different weather
Mm-hmm.
moves in. But those numbers are.
Yeah, if you're in a dry climate where your sweat's actually evaporating off of you, wherever that exists, not here on the southeast, you might not think you're sweating that much,
Mhm.
and so you don't think you need the salt and electrolytes or the water that you do. Here's a quick crew tip: have the crew member should be tracking that calorie and electrolyte consumption.
Absolutely.
Like they should be jotting it down when you come in. What
Mhm.
did you get? This is what I sent you out with. You said you had this. This is what you came back with. You didn't eat that. You ate this,
That's
and
part of
and,
why.
and be making notes.
Yeah, that's part of why you put all that into a Ziploc bag, and there should be a Ziploc bag that comes back where you put your trash,
Yep.
and then they can take all of that out because unfortunately sometimes trash falls out. It should not, but it happens.
It
And if you
does.
take all those gels and all those things that you have actually consumed and you put those wrappers into a Ziploc bag, then your crew can pull that out, and then it can actually count how many calories you took
Yeah,
in.
because you're never going to know you're behind on calories.
No.
You think you're doing great. You're doing the best darn job of eating food that's anybody's ever done. I'm such a good eater.
Yep. Unless
No, you're
someone.
not.
Yep. And unless someone hands
Your
you
trash has proved that's a lie.
unless they hand you those 3 gels and you've ate those 3 gels or whatever that is, and you come back empty, then you didn't. You
Yeah.
probably did not do a good job.
Little Becca Jones backstory here. She's been known to like just squeeze a gel out and put the trash in her Ziploc bag. Like, oh yeah, I ate that. I ate that.
Oh, yeah. Here's the deal.
She's a trickster.
If you're pacing me, you
You
can't
gotta
be in
keep an
front
eye
of
on her.
me. Yeah, you can't be in front of me
No, you gotta
because
keep an eye on her.
if I don't want to eat something,
She ain't gonna do it.
oh, I'm chucking pieces of that quesadilla out to the squirrels. I'm going out. Yeah, that gel's
Yeah.
getting on the ground, and you'd be like, "Are you eating that?" Like, yeah, it's
so
so
good.
good.
I can do it. And then they come and it's like, oh, Becca did great. She just ate all her food. And I'm like, no, she didn't. No, she didn't.
No, I certainly did not. Gotcha, bitch.
But to the point is that the person running is always going to think they're doing great on their calories. Yeah. And they're not going to be able to tell you, I'm 1,000 calories behind. You've got to have that written down. So when they start floundering and fatiguing and the brain starts losing them, you go, all right, well, here's where you're at. 1,000 calories behind where you should be. We're gonna bump you. I need to see you eat this cheeseburger right now.
And same with the crew on writing that stuff down. Like the longer you're out there, you will also get fatigue, brain fatigue, and you're not going to recount that 30 hours later or 40 hours later when y'all go to rehash it.
Take notes.
So there should always be a notebook. You should always make a note of all of that. And it's great feedback for the runner because they know 100%. They can say, hey, at like mile 45, I just always kind of start slacking off.
Here's why.
This, or that. And yeah, I mean, it's all about building success for the future and the next time.
100%. Each race is a journey and a learning experience. I think we nailed this question, by the way. I think we did so good. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's great. Fantastic.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Seth Kirk asks, how to make the call in the moment between injury and severe discomfort?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to say one, having a general knowledge, and that which not everyone does, of what could be causing it, what is inflammation, and what is like an actual tear or something like that. And most of the time, a real injury is going to be so excruciating and severe. Like if you really tear something or do that, like a lot of times you will hear runners say, oh, I was just really worried about like messing my knee up. It just hurt so bad when it's like an IT band or something and it's inflammation. They're like, I'm worried about like really like doing something bad. Actually, that's probably fine. Now, if you tore an ACL or something, like you would not be able to walk, you would not be able to move. If you had really truly injured yourself in that situation, you would likely not be able to put any weight on it or do anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, like everybody's a little different. I would say that an injury is going to be much more localized pain.
Yes.
As opposed to a general, my feet hurt, my quads are killing me, my knees hurt. Well, okay. Well, if it's an injury, it's going to be localized. It's going to be this specific spot, and when you touch it, you're going to cry.
Yeah, but you can also see inflammation in that, and
bruising is a good sign of an injury instead of just a hurt.
Because inflammation can cause redness and swelling.
Yep.
But if it's bruising, that means blood is pooling and there's actual tissue damage. That is different. Like when I tore my tendon at Bigfoot, around there was black and purple. It wasn't a red swollen foot.
That's an injury.
Yeah.
Good time to wrap it up. But I think understanding the difference between are you hurt or are you injured, is step one in making that call in the moment.
Yeah. And I completely understand the excruciating amount of pain that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you can feel. And when you go to move or step down or do stuff, and it makes it feel like it's an injury, when nope, that muscle's just really fatigued or tight because somehow, like you've been limping along, you've changed your gait, now something else is overcompensating. And it is not an injury, it is an intense pain.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Understanding it, I think. And then there's a couple things that you should expect to hurt and not feel good. Like your feet are probably going to hurt. They might hurt excruciatingly so. You might be able to feel your individual toenails. They might really hurt your quads, your legs, like the muscles that are working doing those jobs, expect them to hurt the most. Like that's all normal. Like accept those things. Making the call in the moment is a harder decision, but it's easier if you know what to expect.
it's easier if you know what to expect and if you understand simple body mechanics.
The other thing that goes into it is where are you? How long is the race? Is it the 28-mile aid station of a 50K? That's a different situation as opposed to the middle of nowhere aid station of 100.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your crew is 4 miles up the trail and it's going to save you 9 hours under an emergency blanket because there's no cell service, like that's probably a smarter decision. You can get there in a reasonable amount of discomfort in a reasonable amount of time. Um, like, okay, that makes sense. Getting to that aid station and saying, well, I got here, pretty sure my ankle's broken, but I'm going to keep moving. that That's not like making the decision to pull in relative safety for you and other runners and race personnel.
Yes.
You get stranded out there because you made it to your crew. Your crew convinced you that they don't want to see you be a pussy, and you can't quit now. We came out here. You got to keep pushing. You made it this far. You walked here. You can keep going. And so
Yeah.
they push you out, and you made it 3 miles up the trail, and you're on the side of a mountain. That's probably not wasn't the right decision to do, and it's hard. It's hard to make those decisions in the moment because there's a varying degrees of why we get into this and varying degrees we sign up for races and run. I would say if your ego is the thing that's telling you you've got to keep going, you need to stop. One, that's a horrible motivator to go through an injury or go through pain. Discomfort, yes. Injury, no. Not only does it make it not safe for you and the people out there, if if your ability to perform and your ability to run and train, if your ego is hinging on that, you've pushed it to an injury, you're now making the injury worse, then you've got nothing for the next 6 months
I think
as you rehab from that.
I think people do a lot more of that in training. And then, like race day, they're like, I can't believe this happened. And if you go back and look at their Strava or some of their stories, oh, this was certain, or you actually talk to them,
Oh, yeah.
like, oh, this has kind of been bothering
you're
me.
training through an injury.
Yeah, you train through an injury.
How do you think that's going to go on race day?
Or really big discomfort, and then you made it an injury. You created an injury because you didn't listen to your body, the feedback, or explore why that was happening. Because I think runners are really bad about, oh, well, there's just, oh, those knees, you're going to ruin your knees, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Well, there's a reason those things hurt. And sometimes that's a reduction in cartilage.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is previous injuries. Sometimes just going to see a PT or a doctor, it could be the kinetic chain. There's a reason there is pain.
Yeah. We've got to pay attention to it. We've
Yes.
got to know what it's there for. If it's mile 80 and your feet hurt, that pain makes sense.
Well, one of our athletes,
understand that.
Yeah, one of our athletes the other day said, I've noticed around like an hour and a half that my hamstrings are getting fatigued. That which they had to take some time off. They had a surgery not related to running, but couldn't do a whole lot of jostling. And
did you just say Jocelyn?
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I've got a very expansive vocabulary.
Jostling. Yeah, that's good. Now, like people ask me what I'm doing. I'm jostling. We're gonna jostle on into the next aid station.
And so I was like, here's a few possible scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it can be a combination of all of those. It could be a little bit of each, that you're overstriding, that you're doing this, that you've done too much, or the pace of it can just be a little tick, 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 tick of each, or it could be just one. But you have to realize that there is discomfort and there is pain because there is something off.
Yeah.
And you can't just go, oh, suck it up, blah, 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 keep running, like grind it out. No, no, Goggins.
This is a listen. Like this is a long term play. Like this is, and I hope it's a long term play for a lot of people. You see people come in that do something really hard because they got dared to, or whatever. They saw an influencer do it. Like, oh, that's what I got to do. If I'm going to be on their level, I got to go do that thing. But this is a long term game. Take care of your body.
Yes.
I am not a part of the death before DNF crowd.
No.
Like we talked about some DNFs in a previous episode. There's a time and a place for them. Like embrace it, because what you're doing is preserving your health. And sometimes maybe you're a little too cautious, and that's okay. I would rather you be too cautious and understand you made a mistake and had more in the tank, and then go, I'm gonna have to accept that my legs hurt or my feet hurt and get it right the next time, than push through an injury, do some damage, and now you can't run for a year.
Yeah.
Like,
and we see a lot more of that.
Oh,
not from our athletes.
but you're going to see a lot more of that out there. Of I trained through this discomfort. It became an injury. I tapered. I rested. Everything felt good because I gave it 3 weeks. And then mile 46, it started to hurt. And then I pushed. And now I can't walk. Okay, well, what did you gain there? That race is going to happen next year. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what did you gain?
Nothing.
There's just very, very little to gain other than the pride and the ego and the I'm a bad man, ain't nobody gonna tell me. Then from saying, hey, this isn't good. I need to pull out.
There's a difference in doing hard things and doing dumb things.
There's
a big difference. And we often say, like, hey, if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
You gotta be dumb, you gotta be tough.
But there is also,
you're gonna run through a broken leg.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, Harvey Lewis is a prime example. It broke his hand at Big's backyard a couple of years ago. Didn't know he broke his hand.
You don't need your hand to run.
You don't need a hand to run. Yeah. And you didn't need a hand to run on that course. It's not like he was using poles. It's not like the course had 40,000 or 30,000 feet of gain where he was climbing. It's not like he was out there unaided in the wilderness in a remote location. Like those are all factors, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a 4-mile loop.
And I do want to throw in a small, but something I have seen a couple times in my running and stuff. And sometimes our bodies and our minds play tricks on us.
Oh, they will. You're going to get them.
Because the body's response is, I want to stop. So it's going to send you a big
100%
pain signal. And I have had phantom pain.
They're a real deal.
Where it literally went through my entire body. My head hurt. Then my shoulder hurt. It was so incredible. Then it went to my hip. And then it went to my knee. And then it went to my foot. And it just cycled. And there was also a time when I was doing the Trans Tennessee. And I told you I was a little worried about having a stress fracture, and I think I was close to 500 miles in at this point.
It would have been a legitimate injury at that point. That's something you look at like, hey, I think I have stress fracture, and you go, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're 500 miles into this.
And that's what I thought, because when my foot would strike the pavement, I mean, it was just this excruciating pain. Turns out it was nothing at all. It just eventually went away, but I had accepted that I was going to finish regardless of that. Yeah, I was like, even if this is a serious thing, the damage is there.
That's
the
a safety time and place. Where are we? Decision.
Yeah.
That is, we're at the last aid station before the finish line sort of situation, as opposed to that pain, 3 or 4 days in. It's a different conversation.
It is, but I stepped off that sidewalk and I remember like almost collapsing because it was so excruciating,
Because
you're weak. and I was running by the that river that runs through like Asheville and all that, the big river. Broad River, French Broad. And I remember like looking at it, and I stepped off the sidewalk, and it just, until I got to the count, like the town square or whatever, I saw you. I was really wrestling with the fact that I was going to feel this the next
Yeah.
150 miles or whatever that was. And it had kind of hurt like the night before. There's a little swelling. And I was like, is this in my mind or is this a real thing? Turns out it was not a real thing, because within a couple hours after that, it never bothered me again.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it, is that your body do this super weird thing where it's going through something traumatic. It's trying to get you to stop doing it because your body's job is to preserve your life. It is so concerned with you living. Your
Yes.
your body is like preservation mode. That's like, hey, how do we keep this moving? Like, this isn't good. It's traumatic. How do I get it to stop? So your brain goes, I know, we'll make this hurt. We'll make that hurt. That'll get them to stop. Pain is a huge motivator.
Yep, pain will make you stop whatever you're doing.
Exactly. So that's what your brain is doing. It's sending pain signals. It's throwing out Hail Marys, like, gotta stop, gotta stop, gotta stop. And some of them are real because they're an injury, and some of them are just that trauma response in your body. The secret is, if you keep focusing on that pain, your brain's going to keep sending the pain signal.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to go, not thinking about that.
Oh.
Got to let that one go. And if you do that, your brain will stop. Your brain will give up. It'll say, they're not paying attention to this. This isn't working. There's no point in sending signals to the pain receptors down there because they don't care.
And that eventually happened at the year the 41 hour finished, which was, oh God, that one was rough.
A little spicy out there.
Yeah, it's a tough course, but it's a lot easier if you run it faster. That's all I'm going to say.
The sooner you get done, the easier it is.
But like, I realized that out there, and that was my first real experience with phantom pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I could literally say, this is what's going to hurt next. And I just remember saying to Caitlin, like, I'm just going to ignore it because it's not real.
Yeah.
It's so not real, but it feels so real and was so intense. It's like, I've done nothing to my shoulder. I've done nothing.
It's usually something like that. It's like your shoulder hurts, or like,
it went head, shoulder, and then, like I said, hip, and then it was knee, and then foot. But there was also like a armpit. There were a couple like weird ones in there.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't done anything to that.
No.
That's fine. And that was like my signal to be like, oh, this is make believe. You're in the land of make believe, and your body wants you to stop now. And I went, well, I'm not going to. So that's neat. And it even moved around my knee. It went from like being at the back of my knee to the front of my knee. And just the more I went, you're not real, I went, let me try here.
You're not real. You're not real. I think this is dumb, but I think the only phantom pain I've ever had was like a blister. It was a phantom blister.
Oh, see, I can ignore
on
that.
my foot. Like I'm like, you don't have blisters right now. Like, you've ran 8 miles. Yeah. Like, why would you have a blister? But again, had I concentrated on that, had I given that energy and time and focus, I'd have probably ended up with a blister. I'd have willed that blister into existence. And that sounds silly, but that's what would have happened. And when I got to the next aid station, I'd have stripped off my shoes and my socks, and I'd have wasted 15 minutes and fussed and be like, oh, no, it's there. What are we going to do? I'd put all that gear back on, headed back out. I'd have still felt it. Like, because that's just how it works.
Oh, you hear people say that? Like, I did all this and I could still feel it.
Nah, you ain't got blisters. And maybe you do. If you have blisters, it's because your shoes and socks aren't the right shoes and socks for your feet.
That's true.
Simple. Or you've not trained appropriately. You've not given a gander as to what that terrain looks like and then tried to approximate it.
Yeah.
How to make the decision in the moment. You've got to have a lot of information.
Experience helps.
Experience helps. You have to know, kind of have at least a cursory understanding of the difference between a discomfort and injury. You've got to take in the factors of where you were at in that environment, how much you have before you. There's a difference between having an injury and need to come off course at mile 90 and mile 20. Like, there's a little bit, there's only so much left in this. If you want to grind it out and risk the next 3 months, like, yeah, I get it. I understand that. I don't think anybody's going to fault you for it. You want to grind out 80 miles of that and risk the next 12 months? That's a much worse decision. Again, I think it goes back to your ego. Why are you doing the thing? If you need the achievement, to say something about who you are, if you need to hang your hat on the buckle or the award or whatever it is, that's not a really good reason to keep pushing.
Oh, that's a shitty reason.
Like, and again, because if that's what you're hinging your self-worth on, then you're not going to be able to do any of those things for the next 3, 6, 12, 2 years. I mean, and that's a much worse situation for your mental health to be in.
That's a big cloud of darkness that's
for a
coming
long
your
time.
way.
Yeah. So take the hit, err on the side of safety. Number one answer.
Yeah.
Like, err on the side of safety. If you have an injury, if you have something that you think is an injury, and you have a convenient place to get out, where you don't put anybody else in jeopardy, that's probably the best place.
And sometimes you do need to go ahead and bail before you would like to, because you can
100%.
read the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot harder to sit there at an aid station, especially some of those remote mountain races.
They're out there
for the next 4 hours, 6 hours, wrapped in a blanket or sitting in someone's car, when your crew can be there in 15 minutes or is there.
Exactly.
Like, what's it to you? Oh, you're going to go 10 or 20 more miles?
For what?
Yeah.
That 10 or 20 more miles just costs you 10 hours.
Yeah, why would you do that? Go get rest.
Like, get dinner.
Yeah, go get
Give
rest.
the crew a break. Hey, sorry guys, I'm weak or I'm injured. Well, let's get pizza.
Yeah, because you wanted to post, I went 60 miles before
instead of 40.
Yeah, just.
I grinded it out. I had a pain. This was hurting me at mile 20 or 25, but I grinded it out until I hit the 100K mark.
Oh, wait. At 2 a.m. when everything's fucking closed and there's nothing you can do. Oh, that's real fucking convenient, Kirk. That's real great. Or whatever your name is. I don't know. But that's terrible. Not only for you, but for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you knew it hours ago.
Oh, you knew.
Like, you knew.
And here's the thing. When your crew finds out that you knew, they're going to be way more disappointed in you than they would have been.
And they may not tell you.
Nah, they're not going to tell you. I would. Like, hey, man, did you know this was going to happen? It's 3 a.m. Yeah. I could have been home by now.
Or, like, hey, we could have all been back at the Airbnb at this point.
Yeah, again, like, courtesy and safety. Like, let's not forget these things in their entirety when we're running.
Yeah. And I will also throw this out there. The people that are out there to crew you and support you are there.
They love you regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't take anything from that.
Don't think about disappointing them.
Yes, that's not the case.
The evidence that they love and support you is them being there.
Yes.
Like,
but we are talking about those instances where it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you are only compounding the situation should you continue. 1, physically, 2, safety-wise, and 3, just for everyone. Gosh.
There's people that sign up every time. There's somebody that signs up knowing they can't finish, just seeing how far they can make it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. No, I think that's right. I do. See how far you can go. That's fine.
But it's a similar situation. You're seeing how far you can go, and then you're a liability.
I think that there is a fine line. And yes, I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if you cross that over, or again, like, if you know your crew loves you and they support you, mm-hmm. but if you know they are sleep deprived as all get up, it's been a back to back to back, blah, 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 and then you're like, oh, I'm going to push this out for this next, 15, 20 mile section. And then 5 miles in, when you knew 20 miles back, you were never going to make it to whatever. Yeah. And so they leave to go get sleep, or that's what they're banking on. Like, hey, here's our plan.
We've got 8 hours. We'll see them next time around.
And here's the thing, all of that can change. You have to anticipate that. I 1000% believe that. And it is all part of it. But now you have people who are now having to drive sometimes an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours back to get you after you've had to sit and do all this, when an hour and a half ago you could have just been like, no,
this is what's going on.
Not going to do this.
Yeah. It's hard to be honest with yourself in these things. And I'll say this too, because we're on it. We're talking specifically about an injury. If you're just not feeling it, that's a completely other situation.
Yes.
Like, that's something we need to keep working on, because that thing will get better. Like you've got to trust that that thing will get better, whether you believe it will or not. If you keep pushing, that's going to get better. It might take the whole race before it gets better,
Mm-hmm.
but that's something to give time. Stomach issues, something to give it time. Dehydration, something to give it time.
Or sometimes weird niggles, like little, like I think Tony's experienced that before, and people like Eric,
Yeah,
they're like, why is this
there's a little
hurting
hitch
my
right
ankle?
there.
Or
That's
why?
weird.
Yeah, and it's like,
That
oh, it
feels
happened
funny.
for 30 miles, but they're running a 100-miler, and then after 30 miles, they never feel it again. It never comes
Yeah.
back up. That is possible. You have to give it time. It could completely change.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Tell us more about Big Owls. Big Owls is a 200 and 100-mile event on the Jones family farm. It takes place on a separate 2-mile trail. It's apart from the Mid-State and Tennessee Mile, the Murder Mile. It's a different trail system. It's a
You're still going up the same hill.
yeah, you're going up the same hills. It's got 500 feet of gain over that 2 miles, so 250 feet of vert per mile. It's a low key event. It's real laid back. It's real chill. We keep the entrance list small for a couple of reasons. One, we want it to be laid back. We serve breakfast and dinner to the crew each day at 7 a.m., 7 p.m. That's kind of when that does, and then you're free to do whatever you need to do to complete that distance. We have it in the spring. I think the Becca's vision, our intention with the race is to make doing something incredibly challenging as easy as possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all the comforts you want. If you want to get an Airbnb, a room 2 miles up the road and plan 6 hours of sleep each night, you can do that. You want to sleep right in your car, you can do that. You want to bring a tent, you can do that. All of the comforts that you need to do the thing are right there at your fingertips.
Amazon delivers, DoorDash, Instacart. You can have everything delivered to the race site.
We want to facilitate this accomplishment, this adventure, this triumph as much as we can. We're not going to abandon you. You're not out in the 200-mile races. They're out there. You're out there in it. Like the distance, and this is the crazy thing, the distance between aid stations in a 200-mile attempt and a 100-mile attempt is almost double. Like the average distance is like double.
Yeah.
And you think that's a long time to be out there with no help. That's a long time between civilization that isn't that civilized. This is 2 miles. You can get Amazon.
You can literally head out for a loop or two, and then something may be there when you get back.
Yeah. So that's the intention. That's the desire behind hosting the race. Obviously, Miss Jones' father, Mr. Jones, is named Al, so we named the race after him.
Yeah, his name is not actually Big Al. He doesn't go by that.
No, he
but
doesn't.
It's a combination of Big East Fork and
Big
Al
East
Jones.
Fork and
I
Al
think we
Jones.
couldn't come up with a good name.
Nah, it is. Well, first of all, we came up with a good name. It's a good name for the race.
I think we kept coming up with like Fork.
I did want to name it something a little more.
There was something with a little
more alliteration in it.
Yeah, and we just couldn't agree on anything, so I went. This
Big Al's works. No, I like it.
Yeah.
So that started on Tuesday. It started April 1st this year. We kind of play with the dates. Probably keep it April for a little while.
Yeah.
I think the weather was.
This was a freak week.
We say the weather is a little more tolerable. How tolerable was the weather this year, Miss Jones?
Intolerable.
What was so intolerable? Can't even.
You mean all the tornado warnings and the actual tornadoes? Luckily, no tornadoes dropped on us, but there were multiple storms
it was a nightmare.
that moved over us that had produced tornadoes or did produce tornadoes about 20, 30 miles after they moved over us. There was a tornado in Cross Plains, Lebanon.
Yeah, basically throw a rock in any direction from the course and it's going to land on where a tornado was. I mean, it's just, it was really insane. A lot of rain.
We had to delay the 100-mile start.
Why did you have? We had to push the 100-mile start back 24 hours because the road flooded
in 3 separate places,
and you couldn't get there.
Yeah, 3 separate places coming one way. Out. The other way was also flooded, and I don't know how many places. But yeah, both ways completely flooded us in. No one was getting out, no one's getting in. We're, yeah, no races happening.
So we did that. It started Tuesday morning. Tuesday was great. I think storms rolled in Wednesday night,
Mm-hmm.
and spent some time in a culvert. Full course stoppage, race stoppage, stop the clock, everybody off the course. And so out there, rural community, house built without a basement. A canopy isn't going to give you much security in a tornado. We do have a shelter out there. The shed is also not going to give you much security from being picked up by a tornado. So the only place to go was a culvert.
Yeah, you're looking for a low lying ditch, that which this was in the
Oh,
lowest area.
yeah, underneath the roadbed.
Yeah.
So safe, it's a super safe place to be.
Well,
Hey, no,
there is this phenomenon that actually increases wind speeds and funnels it through. But how low that ditch is,
oh, it's way down there.
yeah, depending, the chances of that are minimalized. But I will say this, all the flash flooding that comes from the hollow will come through there.
So you got to get in, wait for the tornado to pass, and then get out quick.
As we were climbing out, the water was starting to come in, because that is another thing you'll hear people say, you shouldn't get a culvert, you're going to drown, you're going to. Okay, well, this was dry, and it was funny in the dark. I was running around looking at all the different ditches and seeing
Which ditch should we get into?
I was looking at like where the water comes out. All right, how much time we're gonna have like for that gully, the gullies and the holler to like fill up. Okay,
Oh, it's gonna fill up.
I knew we would have enough time there.
Oh yeah. It doesn't happen right away.
And if nothing else, we could be on the gravel bar that was just below, that was a little bit lower, right next to the creek. But there really weren't other places that you could safely get to or wouldn't possibly be snake infested. So it was a bit of a scramble, but I had enough time before. So I hit pause on the race clock about an hour before everything rolled in.
Yeah, shout out to Nashville Severe Weather Dudes on YouTube. If you're in the Nashville area and you want storm coverage, their YouTube channel is by far and away the absolute best of dangerous weather in your area.
Yeah,
I was glued to it for 3 days.
Same.
It was the only reliable source of information.
They only do Williamson and Davidson County, that which we are on that line. So it actually, literally, part of the property is in Williamson County, and part of it's in Davidson. It's a Franklin mailing address, but the house is actually in Davidson.
Get lost in the weeds there.
It doesn't
talk about the tornadoes.
Regardless,
get back to the culvert.
That's a reason that it's the best, because it covers that. And one of the guys actually lives in Franklin, so whatever's coming over them, they're actually reporting live.
If you watch them, like they all took turns hunkering down. Like, I gotta go. Hail's hitting the house. I'll be right back. And then he'd disappear for 20 minutes. Somebody else would take over, and he'd pop up and they go, how was it? He's like, oh, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, and like the news is great, but they're covering such a broad area. Yeah. So these guys are awesome because they go straight to being live, and it's throughout our area.
Phenomenal coverage. Again, if you're in the Nashville area.
So that was who I was listening to the entire time. So I pulled everyone off the course about an hour before, because it was taking everyone close to an hour.
Which it's gonna. That's if you're looking for Big Al's pacing clues, think about
50 minutes to an hour.
50 minutes to an hour per loop.
And so I didn't want anyone getting caught out there or having to worry about any of that. And so when I found out what time it was hitting, I said, okay, all right, we're just going to hit pause right now. And then I waited till about 10 or 15 minutes out from when it was really supposed to hit us and said, all right, everyone get in the culvert, because that same storm, and I was sitting there watching it on their thing, and it was the same cell that dropped that tornado in Selmer, Tennessee. So watched it hit that, and then they were pretty sure that it was an actual tornado on the ground in Centerville, which I think it actually ended up being more of a microburst. But we're watching that on the traffic cams. And the thing about when storms hit Centerville, they pretty much come over us with the way storm systems move. Now, if they hit Dixon, they're almost going to go north of us. But I am watching this huge storm that looks like a rain-wrapped tornado moving across Centerville, and they said it is on the radar, confirmed tornado, and that it was moving towards us. And these systems that came from Arkansas and dropped all sorts of tornadoes through there. So it's produced multiple No, it's literally gonna slam into us. And yeah, like 15 minutes, I was like, okay, everyone go get the culvert. Tried to let everyone sleep as long as I could. Um, yeah, we were climbing out, then water was starting to pour in.
Yeah, and that was again just the first wave
Yep, of many.
of many warnings to come. The tornado warnings, the severe weather warnings in this general quad state area from like Mississippi to lower Indiana, just absolutely insane. I think I saw one statistic that was 3,500 maybe. I mean, I know in our general area, that one cell that came through Wednesday night was 500 some, you know, thunderstorm, severe weather, tornado warnings were issued.
24 people died these
Yeah, I mean,
past
it was a real
3 or 4
deal.
days in that front. It just in Tennessee. That's not the other
Yeah,
states. That is
so
West Tennessee and Middle Tennessee. How many people died?
it was absolutely crazy. Take all the precautions you can. That's part of having a race that's going to take 5 days. That you're going to deal you're going to deal with some weather. In years past, it's been extreme cold and rain, and this year it was extreme weather. It was the days were sunny and warm.
Yeah.
You know, pretty nice. It ended under thunderstorm or rain. So the last people to finished Saturday night. They were planning on being done by dinner. I took a nap, and then
The weather got worse.
the weather got worse, and so I did the last loop with them. And just absolute downpour, absolute downpour, muddy course. It was muddy. It wasn't horribly like you can't manage the slickness. Muddy. There was touch and go spots, but I want to say, you know, Ryan and Melanie that came up from Florida. This is what perseverance looks like.
Oh my God, yes.
I was standing on the first hill. It goes up through the field. So usually where you park for our other events is part of this course because we don't have to park over there. And it kind of just meanders up just that long grass hill, and you can see the whole thing. It's horrible. When we designed it, we knew it would be horrible. That's why it's
I
there.
mean, you knew it would be horrible, and that's what you wanted in there.
Well,
So
it's
put that
just,
on
you
there.
know, it's not in the woods. If it's nice and sunny, it's a nice refresher. If it's cold and dark, it's kind of gloomy and depressing. Anyway, we're about halfway up the hill. He goes, "We've made a mistake. We're 5 minutes into the race at this point. We underestimated these hills. These are multiple 100-mile finishes, but not here in Tennessee."
And not on this course. It comes out to about 28,000 feet of
Yeah,
elevation
it's
gain
getting
and
there.
loss. A lot of courses are like, oh, it's this much change. No, no, the change would be well over 40,000. It is
Yeah, that's gain.
28,000 feet of
So
gain and loss.
we had no 200-mile finishers this year. They all dropped down to 100. We didn't have any 100-mile finishers either.
Nope.
It's tough to do. It's a hard race. Make it as easy as it can to do it. But like just the way they operated, they had the best attitudes the entire time of anyone I've ever seen run an ultra.
It was so delightful.
They were delightful. They were amazing. They ran every step together, which is awesome. We quickly concluded that we could not do that.
No, we love
You
each
don't have
other
to say it
dearly.
like that.
Yeah, but
You don't
like
have to go.
really.
Like you're just like, nah, we can't do that.
But they never.
We ran.
We can run a lot together.
Yeah, we ran all together.
But in those conditions, I think that there's a lot that would come out in us separately.
Well, I think we would have both needed to go our own way at one time or another. Yeah. Like needed a rest, needed a break. I'll catch you here. I'll catch you there. We just would have operated a little more independently and needed to.
And
they listen. This is so cute. They listen to. They've got like a sync music, and they both have their headphones on, and they're just taking turns playing songs for one another, which also wouldn't work because we don't want to listen to the same music.
No, we don't. We absolutely do not.
Although we listen to some of the same music.
Mostly the same music.
You'd be skipping through half the songs. I'd be like, I want to hear the end of that. But it was genuinely joyful to see them walk, to see them run the race. And here's the thing. This is what running an ultra looks like. You use every bit that you have, and you can look at the timeline. They moved within their ability for as long as they can. And it'd been easy, like, oh, you guys really need to push here. It's easy to fall into that trap too. Of like, no, I'm going to push harder and wear yourself out. They ran wholly within their ability and pushed with inside that. Like you didn't see them get overextended and then drop down into a big hole, which is what a
No,
lot of people do.
no, they
They
were
run from
steady.
that place of ego because they want to be tough, and they moved with joy and resilience and determination to their goal. And they signed up for the two. They got there at different points. I think Brian said, like, I knew right away. It took Melanie a couple laps to get there, but still, they were steadfast in their desire to move forward,
Yeah,
and they didn't waver from it. They didn't slow down. They didn't speed up. I think just that mental approach, if this is what we can do, we're going to keep on doing it until we're done. And
yeah.
I love that because that is ultra running. That is the best gift you can have as an ultra runner. It's the best mindset you can have as an ultra runner.
Mhm.
Is to take that. What can I do? How can I move forward? This is what I'm capable of. This is what I'm going to keep doing. This is what I can do until I'm done. It was awesome,
Oh,
inspirational.
it really was phenomenal to watch and honestly like be a part of and help facilitate that because it was they were never in a funky spot, and if they were, it never showed. And you can hear stuff echo
Oh
through
yeah,
those woods and everything.
the canopy they brought isn't soundproof.
Yeah.
If they'd been in there fussing, we'd heard it.
Uh, but also, I mean, Ralph and Brian, and Brian did all of our races
Brian's a
this
G.
year. Absolutely, like
Yeah, tough.
yes, and that was his first 100.
He picked a doozy, and he picked did not get good weather to
The
do it.
weather,
I'm a fair weather kind of guy. I want ideal weather conditions. I just do. I'll admit it. That's what I want. I would have hidden the culvert and went, you know what? I think that's a sign. I'm going to pack it up.
just everything this year was so much harder, and I was really convinced Ralph was going to get it this year. He has trained so hard. He has so much knowledge. This was his third year walking away with 100 there. And I think had the weather been different,
Oh yeah, I mean
I
it's
mean,
just you can't overstate or overestimate what the weather did to the race this year.
we probably had total about 13 hours of pause time. That which we were fortunate that we can. There's a lot of
Oh
races
yeah,
that
I mean
can't.
that's part of the luxury of this race in particular.
Yeah,
If you get severe weather, another 200 miles, like oh well, just keep on moving to the next aid station. There's none over there.
yeah. And I felt bad having to keep like hitting pause, but it got
Yeah,
pretty bad,
you
especially
can't feel bad about it. You got to take care of everybody.
on that last couple loops. There were a lot of lightning strikes, and actually one of the lightning strikes was diagonally across from my parents in one of the fields. You could actually see it,
Yeah,
and it was I think it was that same strike that we all saw like in front of us, and Melanie and Ryan were like, "Oh my god, this was like." It was in the trees,
yeah,
and there were a lot of strikes that were happening like that. So we didn't want them to be the tallest objects in the field. So we cut out the field section, which they were already over on mileage.
yep.
So, no big deal. And we just had them come on back through the yard rather than doing that. But, everyone had a really great attitude and was really great sports, that which I am super grateful for because I can tell you I'm at least 3 shades closer to gray after this
You
past
went through
week.
it. You really did. You went through. There's a few times this week where I could hear it in your voice and looked at her like, ooh, my baby girl is right on a ragged edge.
And I
We
don't
we got to get mama home and rested.
I, and it was a lot of like sitting up and listening to weather because the runners are going out. Like they're not
Yeah,
necessarily
they're not
listening to
you're
that.
not gonna check weather or be
And where the
concerned about
weather
it.
is,
You're focused.
if it's going to take you close to an hour, like that weather's changing in an hour. So if there's a bad storm that's dropping hail, that which there were
Yep.
multiple of those, and we dealt with hail, and it's an hour away. Well, if you head out, well, in the next 40 minutes, you could be being pelted.
Yeah.
So, you
Weather
know,
was a whole thing.
it was
It's traumatic.
it was a lot. I was very worried about a tree coming down on someone, lightning strikes.
Fortunately, good.
Yeah,
Everything's
honestly,
good.
the wind was not that bad.
Not that windy. I mean, their tent stayed right there the whole time.
And the
Yeah,
wind
good.
bothered me because we've had so many trees come down lately when we've had wind. There's took down some deadfalls this winter and stuff that looked kind of sketch, and some of those have came down. But there's been parts of trees just come down never saw
Yeah.
that looked bad.
Mhm.
And almost every storm we've come out and there's been part of a tree or a tree down, and I was just like, oh my god, with all of this, like,
No, it definitely got blessed. The weather, as bad as it was, we were blessed out there for sure, hosting Big Al's, and it's a blessing to be able to do, to put on this kind of event.
yeah,
I mean, it generally is. It is a low key. Hey, come to our home. Like, we're inviting you to our home to run 100 or 200 miles.
yeah,
Like, hey, come on out. Be part of the family for the week.
yeah.
And we're gonna treat you that way.
I love. I really love that race. I love our other events, but this one's very special because I feel like we get to spend so much time with people and one on one, and it's just so intimate. And watching the runners bond and become invested, like, Ralph came back out to
Ralph
watch
came
them
back out,
finish.
yeah. Stood in the rain.
Yeah, well, he actually came and got them on like the loop before last because I pulled them off the course because the lightning got so bad and it was striking all around us. He went out to meet them right around the pond and brought them back because they weren't sure how to get back. And or maybe it's like 3 laps, doesn't matter. But I was just so grateful for him in doing that because I was trying to like listen to what was going on. There was a big thing moving in, and yeah, just how much they support each other. Gabriel, I think he's never ran more than 50 miles. His family came out. That was a whole family affair. Them coming and going and getting to support and watching people do something that is insanely hard. Because again, this course, it's not like the Murder Mile. The Murder Mile, you run and then you go straight up, then you kind of run some more, and then you go straight down, and then you run a little bit, and you go straight up. It's very easy. And I say that
Simple.
it's very simple.
Simple. You can get into a good rhythm on the Murder Mile.
Big Al's
It's a little tougher to get in rhythm on.
Yeah, it's so challenging, and it's built to make you be able to train for anything
Sure.
you want to do. And it's a lot of up and down. It never really finds a groove either.
It's harder to get into a rhythm on it, and I'll say, like, all three of our events are completely different. What I love about them, what they have in common, is that the onus is on you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no push pull of getting to an aid station. There's not a big fanfare. There's not that pump up. Like, your movement is all your motivation. Do you have the desire to keep going?
Yeah.
And as long as you bring that out, that you're going to be successful. And that's, I think, what they have in common, regardless of the event, is you've got to be the driving factor.
Yeah.
In your race. There's nothing else out there. It's got to be you.
And for some people, that can be a new concept.
It's a different challenge.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one, but it's a real one.
Yeah. Which is, I think, one of the things I really, really love about this. And, we said it doesn't matter. We're not going to have a cutoff, like however long it takes.
Yeah, we were definitely going to give them the time to do it. And it's also one of the blessings of being able to put the race on.
Yeah. We will never allow
There's not a park ranger telling us to leave.
No, and we'll never allow more than 20 people. It will be small and intimate.
That's how it's going to stay.
Yeah, it's
100%. Because we wanted to have that intimate feel. We wanted to have that, hey, we're inviting you to our home. Come run on the farm for the week.
Yeah.
Take on this tremendous challenge if you're willing to motivate yourself to keep going. Miss Jones here wants to dote on you. She wants to make you meatball sliders and pastas, and make sure you got your breakfast, pancakes and burritos, and she wants to do all those things. And it's really fantastic. It's a different type of event. It's a different type of loop race. It's a different type of 200. It's a different type of 100. It's special to us, and
it's super cheap.
It's super cheap.
Like the 200, I think we only charge $250. The 100's like 150.
Easy to manage. So that's why we host the race, making something really hard,
very attainable,
and less complex.
Financially, logistically.
Logistics are easy.
That's it. I think those are the only two things.
That's it. But that's a lot of what holds people back.
Yeah.
We were talking to a friend that was looking at Cocodona 250, I was like, man, that's great. Sign me up. Let me know when you cash that winning lottery ticket to go out to run the race. And it's not, but once you pay the fee and you get the Airbnb and the flights and the car rental and you get the crew, like it's such an investment to do. And I know that we've talked, I've got some stretch goals for next year, but the main factor of attaining those goals is the financial cost of doing them.
It's a big strain for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
and that's just like, how do you be responsible with that? And everybody's in a different situation. We get it, whatever. But these 200-mile races, these long races, they're not cheap.
No.
And so if this is a goal of yours, well, this is an easier way to do it.
Yeah.
Or
It won't be easy.
less expensive way to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not your dream.
Maybe it's not Arizona or running around Tahoe or whatever. But those are all different things.
They are. And
So
you know what? Hopefully coming and
that's
doing
off to
that.
you.
Yeah,
I
but
want to go.
maybe if that is one of those dreams, you can go out there with more confidence, knowing you can do
Absolutely can go out there
something,
with more confidence for sure.
knowing that you can do the numbers. Because our race, if you do the 200, it's 55,000 feet of elevation gain,
Yeah. Well, and
which
then
is
too,
more than all of those big
maybe you need that
200s.
confidence to go out there and do it with drop bags.
Yeah,
That's another thing that you can learn from, because there's this like, you want a crew behind you and think you need the crew and the pacers and the things, and you do, right? But maybe this gives you the confidence to say, I can do this on my own,
yeah,
because that's the way I can do it. I won't be able to do all these other things.
yeah. You can, in a very controlled and fiscally attainable environment, kind of see what that feels like, what you're going to go through
Mm-hmm.
physically, and what you're going to need, and dial stuff in. And if there's something you don't need, you can have it delivered.
Yeah.
And you can't out there.
Yeah.
But if you see like, oh, this works better for me, or this, that,
Let me know.
whatever.
I'll run to the store for you.
Yeah, I
Not a big
mean,
deal.
that is another thing.
Yeah, I
We,
mean,
we
that's
come and go, and
sure. Why not?
it is such an avenue for success and honing success in the future. And again, those numbers that you're going to get at Big Al's are more than any of those others.
Yeah.
And that's not unless like Fierce Dragon. I think Fierce Dragon has
Fish Dragon's up there.
I think it has
That's
like
tough.
3,000 feet a game more than ours, but definitely the 200 is one of the most.
Yeah, it's also in either the dead of winter or dead of summer.
Oh, Fierce Dragon.
Fierce Dragon's in the winter, and then they do Baby Dragon in like August,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
it's completely separate. You've taken running 200 miles, and then you've done it in extreme temperatures, one way or the other.
Yeah.
That's a different animal.
But
That's a dragon.
But yeah, Big Al's is a great environment to really hone that. So when you want to level up or go after that, you've had you've got a good foundation built, and you've not had to invest $10,000 to build
Yeah.
that. So you can invest 6,000, 5,000, because it's thousands of dollars to go run these.
Oh,
Period. It's thousands.
I've had cars that cost less.
Like, and you've got to understand that, especially if you're going to have crew and you're
Yep.
going to rent a car and hotels and gear and airfare on top of it, like meals
It's a
once you're out
thing.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So going out there with no experience, not saying I wouldn't recommend it. I've done it.
You did it, but how much better prepared would you have been?
Oh, my learning curve would have been way less
Yeah.
steep had I done something
So
like
that,
in
I
this
mean, that makes
environment.
the large investment that you make pay off,
Yes.
because now you know.
I would have loved something like Big Al's, because I would have learned
It's
so
yeah.
much more.
It's like running your local 100 before you get into Western States.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got into Western States. That's awesome. Have you ran 100 miles before? Oh, okay. Some point you're probably going to wish you would have.
Yeah. And it may go well.
Yeah, hopefully it does. So that's Big Al's. Love it. I can't say enough about it. Look for it if you're interested. It'll be on the Ultra signups soon.
Yeah.
I am sure that if you're interested in seeing a taste of Big Al's, Tennessee Mile is also up. 40 hours, a good home for you. Sign up for that. Allow you to come out and train a little bit and get a taste of what 40 hours at least looks like out on the farm.
Yeah. Check out our trail club, MF and Trail Club.
MF and Trail Club too. If you're on the Trail Club, you can come out and run Big Al's. It's open for club days. So those are all great ways to come out and experience before you just dive in. This is man, it feels like we're just stepping on the gas. You know, I know we were talking last week. We were talking like, oh, this weekend we've got this, but this weekend was Big Al's. Now we've got you're going to Snaketail out on the hippie commune for the marathon, half marathon,
50 milers,
50 miler,
6 miler,
miler, children's
5K.
fun run, 5K, all of the wonderful things out on the farm, which is a Googleable thing.
It is.
The hippies migrated from the Haight Ashbury back in the hippie days, and they settled here in Summertown, Tennessee.
I think it is the most famous hippie commune in the
For sure.
country,
Yeah,
and
they've still got the buses out there that they pilgrimaged in.
they do, and it also has the country's largest homeschool or school facility that is powered by solar.
So jot that down. Another mark. I actually have a friend from high school that absconded to the farm.
Yeah.
Yes, like he left. Him and his girlfriend were missing people for a while in Indiana,
Uh,
and they were found on the farm.
Mom and one of her friends actually came out to welcome all of them. She was telling Kenny that they came
That
out like
sounds
that was a
a
big
very
whole
your
thing.
mother thing to do.
Yeah, they all went out to like because there was a lot of like
Good grief.
negativity about like, oh, who's
Anyway,
coming out here. Yeah, Mom was very excited. Sure, she was like, we
that's
can't just like
fantastic.
drive through and be like, welcome.
That's so weird. So much history your people have.
Oh,
So that's going on this week. I've got a race. One of our athletes is running 100 milers down at Rim Runner down in Swanee. So we're going to divide and conquer this week.
yeah, as soon as I wrap up at Snaketail, I'm gonna put the car in gear and head on down there to Grew and Pace for the late night.
Foot on the gas. I think next week, once we get to Sunday, once we get back home, we can catch our breath for a few days. And I'm looking forward to it so much. I know you are too. Listen, this is the Ultra Crude podcast. It's been great to have you. Thanks for tagging along and joining in on our conversations as we talk about ultra running and life. Check us out. Find us where people find people. Leave a comment. You got questions, reviews, whatever you guys do. You know how podcasts work.
Yeah, send John any listener questions.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.